Hey everybody, it's Merrily Brown, Empire Financial. I'm here with
Linda Zimmer-Hansel. I'm owner-broker of Zest Realty here in South Texas. We're on location today. We're pretty excited because this is a brand new subdivision in Canyon Lake. Canyon Lake is just north of San Antonio. It's a little bit southwest of Austin, on a gorgeous aquamarine lake that a lot of people don't know about it. And this is a fantastic brand new subdivision called Sendera Vista.
And I'm super excited because it's my husband's little project.
Merrily. It's not a little project.
Okay.
It's on 53 acres of gorgeous panoramic views, hills. I mean, a couple of them have water views, but really the hills are stunning. I mean, this is just an amazing, huge project.
Okay, huge project. So.
It's been 2 years in the making. And it's on, as I said, 53 acres, and just putting the infrastructure into this, having just the right engineering for all the lots to be platted properly. Almost every single lot in this project has a view of some sort. That's really hard to do. So really kudos to the engineers.
Well, it's kind of exciting, and I kind of want to give some kudos to you, even though it's been my husband's dream. He's been a developer for, I don't know, 100 or so years, it seems like. And he's developed here in San Antonio before, but this is the first time he's actually done this big of a project at Canyon Lake. He's built some houses out here, but he wanted to do some development. And Linda, tell me, because I know that you were the brains behind this and why you picked to do 1 acre lots. Tell us what brought you to
Well,
that.
the buyers told me over, more than a decade in real estate, and just what people have begged for. And, Canyon Lake was, even 6, 7 years ago, was kind of a sleepy little area. Now it's one of the fastest growing in the United States, right? So we really, I kept having buyers come say, hey, I don't want 10 acres. I want 1 acre. I want 1 acre that I could do with what I want with. But at the same time, I don't want to be next to maybe a mobile home. Mobile homes are great, but sometimes somebody with a site-built home doesn't want to have a mobile home right next door. So when the developers started coming in and developing Canyon Lake in earnest, they were putting in subdivisions that were acre lots, but had a very strict HOA. So there's some out here, fabulous, fabulous neighborhoods, but you can't build a house smaller than 2,600 square feet.
Well, that's my brother. My brother's in a subdivision out here. They're 1 acre lots, but they're in an HOA, and that we had lots of restrictions on having to build a certain square footage.
Exactly.
Right?
Plus, you can't have a goat in your backyard. You can't have a horse in your backyard. Maybe a limit on the number of chickens, if any, right? So I had a lot of buyers coming and going, really, I'd like some restrictions just to maintain, the value of my equity, but at the end, to make sure the neighbors are somehow controlled in a certain way. But at the same time, I want to do my own thing. If I want to park an RV in my, behind my house, I can. Some of these subdivisions require you to build, a huge garage that is the same quality as your house. And so I have clients calling going, I don't want to have to put an $80,000 garage to house my RV or my horse trailer or whatever. So when Randy came to me and said, hey, I want to develop a neighborhood, I said, please, Randy, please, why don't we do 1 acre lots? And we all want a view out here in Canyon Lake because it is just gorgeous. I mean, hills, rock, also some sandy loam. I mean, just gorgeous. It feels like you're in the middle of nowhere, yet we're still only 15 minutes, well, really 7 minutes from restaurants and stores, and yet it's quiet as can be. We can hear just birds that are a mile away. I mean, it's amazing. So when I brought that to him, he said, well, let's do it. And so it took a while to find just the right acreage.
So about how long ago do you think you guys started this?
I mean, we started probably looking about 3.5 years ago.
Okay.
We bought this property we're almost at the year anniversary. I mean, 2-year anniversary. So it took him almost 2 years because it's a lot. You have to get plats approved by the county. You have to get the engineers to design the plats. You have to plan the water lines and the electric.
So you went under contract, And from the time of going under contract to the time that we actually closed was what, almost a year, right?
No, no, no.
No, it wasn't.
To purchase the
Yeah,
acreage, no,
yeah.
it wasn't that long.
Oh, it felt like it.
And but because that purchasing just, he had to do some due diligence, but it's more of the timing from the time we closed to the time we're able to put these lots on the market,
Okay.
because we're really they're ready to build, and a lot of subdivisions don't do that, right? I mean, they'll say, I mean, a lot of times they're putting them on the market before they ever have them platted or the plat approved.
Well, I've seen that. I've seen a couple billboards, and so I went looking, and I couldn't find anything, no roads or anything, and they're already selling lots. So,
A personal experience. I
yeah.
have some young ladies under contract now. We've been under contract almost a calendar year because they were advertising this 3-acre piece of property to be sold, but yet the plat hadn't been approved. And my clients wanted it, so we went under contract and we're waiting and waiting. They could have had their house finished already. And so that's the beauty of this project is yes, we still have the thing that's outstanding is the roads need to be paved, but once the base is laid and the asphalt's done, I mean, really it's like, just add water, just add a house. I mean, that's where we are now. And this is fantastic. Because again, Randy, listen, we, so many times
He
as
listens to you, but not to me. So I don't
as
know. You've got
as
the magic touch, I
as
guess.
realtors, we go out and we're like, hey, we want to see this piece of property, and you don't know. I mean, you go down. I mean, I just showed another piece of property, and it was lot, I think it was like 44 in this subdivision, and none of the lots were marked. And I parked because I didn't take my 4-wheel drive. I parked at the end of the gravel road and walked noon in the middle of 100-degree heat. And I had to walk about 3/4, no, it was almost a mile by the time I got to the top of the hill. And I still couldn't find where the lot was. And I was searching and searching. So the great thing that Randy did here is we have all the lots marked, all the pins are laid, and it's very easy to find the lot that you're looking for. So realtors out there, note to self, please ask your developers to do this, mark the corners. Each one of these lots, and we have 42 available. There were 43. We already have 2 under contract, but all of them are marked. So your buyers can see what they're buying, which is fantastic.
That's cool. So tell me a little bit about how long have we, and I kind of know the answer, but time flies for me. From you started listing them, 43 lots on MLS, right? How long did that take you to get that listed?
Oh, I mean, it was a project because what we did, again, thinking of buyers in mind and our colleagues, and making it as marketable as possible. We have individual notes on each lot. We came out, so I have a co-listing agent, Sergio Cervantes, and we came out and spent 2 full days out here walking all of this property, all 53 acres, just to make sure that we had every single lot identified specifically. And it's wonderful because realtors call me now and they go, okay, my client wants to have a horse in the backyard. Okay, well, I know which lots they can consider because there's some that go straight up the hill and are very rocky and would be absolutely, I mean, view wise, privacy wise, amazing. But you don't want a horse in the backyard of that one, right? Then I have clients I'm showing tonight out here, and they really specifically want just a view, and they really don't want to care for the property. They want it to go natural, which we can do here in the hill country. And so they can build up this hill behind us, halfway up that hill, and not have to worry about a thing. It can all go natural. And think of the view. If we increase the elevation by 300 feet here, what's that going to look like? Absolutely stunning. So that's the nice thing. Each one of these individual lots, so it took me probably a total of 10 days because I even included the frontage and the
Yeah, the
frontage amount,
measurements and
the
everything.
measurements of the lot.
Yeah.
So everybody knows when they come out, it's going to be just much easier to choose. If they want narrow frontage and it going straight up the hill and they want to own the peak of the hill, they can. But each one of these, I've got a whole file on them, and the people I'm meeting today, if they say no, we change our mind. We don't want a squarish lot. We want one that's nice and long and skinny and goes straight up that hill. Well, we know exactly where to bring them. So it did take quite a long time to just get it right. We have pictures of each individual lot and not just pictures of the whole subdivision, which is fantastic. We got up really high back here, and we did a video which
Yeah,
you narrated,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is fabulous, that shows the whole neighborhood.
So I think it's kind of funny. When they purchased this land, we didn't realize that we would have some lots that have water view.
Right.
I mean, so how'd that happen? It's just once they put in the streets, all of a sudden you and Randy were out here driving and go, oh my gosh, we've got how many lots are water view?
So three,
Three
and with
lots.
more with potential water view, we just don't. I mean, it's going to depend on, you could put a higher, make the house a little bit set higher. You could put a house on stilts for that matter, and really
Mm.
have views we could never even imagine, right? So the great thing is when you come onto like 53 acres of raw land, and this was all just hunting property, and nobody really was doing much with it. We found, in fact, as Sergio and I walked around, um, and investigated each lot, we found a handful of deer
Oh
blinds
yeah, I saw that.
that
I saw
nobody,
that.
I mean, somebody used, at some point, and you even climbed up one,
Yeah,
right?
I did. I wanted to see what the view was going to look like.
And
So,
so that's really cool to be able to see that the land was used in a different way. But when Randy and I were driving around, it was limited. I mean, we drove. That's the beauty of these engineers, is when they came out and really felt what the property was like, and they set the roads. That's when we
well, they
came
came
out.
out with a drone, right?
Hmm.
Didn't they do a
Hmm.
drone so they could see everything that we
And
couldn't see from?
maximize the views. So
Yeah.
when we drove out here the first time, when the roads had been, or at least set out, we all just gasped because
Mm.
we knew it was going to be cool. We drove around and said forever views. I said, Randy, if we lay these lots out right, we're going to have forever views. And they really are. I mean, it really is
So
stunning.
since you went on MLS, what has been your plan, your marketing plan? And I know we kind of jumped the gun because Randy was super excited to get these listed and everything, and um, they're laying down, the final whatever you call it, because I am not a
The base,
developer. The
the
base,
road
there you
base. Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah.
Um, So tell me a little bit about, how you end up marketing something like this. Because I'm sure there's people out there that are like, well, I want to do, I've got a smaller acreage and I want to be able to market it. What is it that you're doing? Because you've had a great response.
I think, really being able to have people n- have them imagine without a lot of effort what their house is going to look like, because a lot of buyers don't have a lot of imagination. They can't see this and imagine where. In fact, the young ladies I told you about that are not buying in this area, they're buying more toward the Bernie and Helotes areas. But one of them is a commercial. She does commercial construction for a living, so she's able to imagine things much easier. Normally, you don't have a client like that. So you're going to have to go out and help them and go, now, this has a tremendous view. If it has, say, a really steep grade behind it, this is going to be amazing, but you're going to have to put in, $50,000 of extra concrete, because you're going to have like probably a 3-story foundation, right? But you're going to have an amazing view. Well, that plays into things, right? So you're going to want to envision that. And if you can't see the land, because of the trees and the overgrowth and all of that, then you're not going to be able to help your client find the right property. I don't know what the statistics are now, but they used to be, more than half the people that buy a residential lot or acreage don't actually ever build on it. They just go ahead and sell it because it's not appropriate. We want people to buy these and build on them and enjoy them. We don't want them to turn them over. We want them to build on them right away. So the key was to be able to have people get here, to be able to identify the lots, to be able to see what they're buying and buy what they want, to buy what they actually want to use the land for. That's my first question to any agent that calls. Okay, what are they going to, or the public when they call, what are you going to use the land for? Oh, hey, I just want to build a small house, which you can here. We didn't limit the size, right?
So you can have a tiny house out
You
here.
can, as long as it, it abides by the other restrictions, which are very, very minimal. But yes, you could put a tiny house out here. And I have, a client that's very interested. He just wants to build a smaller house. He's a single man, and he wants to probably have a couple of goats and a sheep and some chickens, and just enjoy, his time out here in the very, very peaceful setting. If we're just quiet for a minute, listen to that. It's just so relaxing. So there's a lot of people who are looking just for that, but that's my goal. That was my goal. So as long as we could get in, that's what I kept asking Randy, can people drive? Yes, they can. They can drive on here. They can look, as I mentioned a minute ago, the great part about what he did here is, so this is lot 8. Up to the next sign, this is lot 7, right? So, and I have a subdivision rendering. We've got the plat map with all of the, the length and the width. So people can actually walk back there. They can find the pins in the back, and they can see what they're buying. I mean, and that just doesn't happen that often. So that's the best thing about this. They can walk down and they can see where their house might be, and they can see the view. Now it's going to be probably even better because they're going to have a foundation, right? But as they meet their builder out here, the builder also can tell them, this is exactly where I'm putting the house. That's another thing these engineers did, is they actually, the way they planned the lots, they actually were able to do it so that every single one of these lots, we could find a buildable area without having massive clearing and grading. They were able to do that where it's going to make your building costs cheaper. So all of those things just kind of come into play when you're trying to make something that's really usable for folks and easy for realtors to be able to sell.
So you sort of touched on it a little bit about how there's no HOA, but we do have deed restrictions, but they're minimal, right? I mean,
Correct.
and so I think we can go on the website, and if you want to see what they are, they're all posted on the website, so you can even download the deed restrictions or at least see the list. And I know that animals, everybody asks about having animals, but I noticed one of the animals that they won't let you have is pigs.
Yes, yes.
So is that just because you guys don't like pigs,
No,
or
no.
I mean,
It's
what's
kind of a standard, it's standard with many
well, I heard it's
deed
Comal. I
restrictions.
heard it's Comal County. For some reason,
Well,
Comal
well,
County.
most animals aren't gonna, we wanted to preserve the piece of the subdivision, the beauty of the space, right? And so it is very common, if you look throughout Texas anyway, if you look at deed restricted communities versus HOAs, HOAs, really limit livestock extremely, but many deed restrictions in counties will show no swine. And the reason is there's an odor with swine that you won't find with other
Oh,
livestock, and there is a noise factor with a lot of swine.
I see. So, if I buy a lot, am I going to be having goats coming over into
Well,
my?
that's not, I mean, you're not supposed to have that, right? I mean, if
Yeah.
you have an
So,
animal, you're supposed to contain it on your
oh, okay,
property.
great.
Yeah.
So you're going to require
I mean,
some kind of
yeah,
containment. Okay.
yes, yes. So, I mean, it's really, a lot of people want to have them just for their own enjoyment. I mean, there's a lot of people that, especially here in South Texas, we have, teenagers who are in 4-H,
Mhm.
and they need to raise an animal. And maybe it's just one goat, But I mean, there's a neighborhood in Marion that has half acre, you know, where you'd have enough room to raise a goat, but the HOA doesn't allow it. So that actually, that HOA or that development, they built a barn just for that.
Oh,
so so where they
oh,
have to keep their animals at this barn and they have to go take care of them. But most prefer to have their 4-H animal. And I had, you know, kids that did that. So they want to do that, and you don't have to go by, you know, sometimes people feel like they have to go invest in 10 acres to be able to do that. You don't need 10 acres to just raise one goat. So I'm so happy that we were able to do that. And then I've got clients, they just want chickens. She just really wants to have a chicken or maybe one sheep. You know, it's just been her vision to have that in retirement. And so she can do that here, you know. And they don't want a big house. They just want to retire out in the country with peace and have some nice friendly neighbors that aren't slam next to them. And this is the place to do it. I mean, I'm just so excited, and I have had a lot of the public calling off our signage and advertising, and they actually say the words "thank you," and I'll say, "Oh, thank you for what?" And this has happened over and over, and they said, "Thank you for developing a subdivision with no HOA."
wow. Well, it's rare. I mean, I Googled it trying to figure out who else had that, and I couldn't find any,
Yep,
you know.
it's fantastic. So
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, we're excited. And I mean, and then the bonus of I mean, we knew the views were going to be nice, but this is just something else. I mean, you have to come out here and see
So
these.
you came up with the concept of Forever Views
Hmm.
as the
And it just popped into my head as Randy and I were driving around right when they first started cutting the roads. And we just barely got up like halfway to where we are now. And I looked around and I said, Randy, these are forever views. And it just came into my head. And they really are. There is not one lot in here that does not have some kind of view. Now, some of them are just like, you can't even talk because they're so amazing. Some are more lower profile, but that's maybe for somebody that wants a little more privacy, maybe wants a little flatter ground. But even these behind us, I mean, these are some of the
yeah,
most level lots we have. Look at the view behind us
just
from the
gorgeous.
level
Well,
lots.
what's cool is you can sit out your back door and see a gorgeous view that goes forever and ever. And then you look out your front door and you've got this beautiful hillside. It's like we're in a little valley. And I mean, nobody's going to build up there, right?
I know it. And if you go over here, we have some amazing, I mean, this is so stunning. The ones that have water views as well. I mean, you're going to have wraparound porches on so many of these properties. You can't, and you're going to say, oh, well, I want a view of that. Okay, I want this lot. We have so many hills. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the distance, 8, 9, 10. I mean, there's 11, 12 hills we're in the hill country, right? That you're going to be able to see from one house. You're going to be able to look out walk around your house and see 11 hills and a gorgeous, gorgeous valley. So, I mean, it really is perfect. I mean, if you'd gone looking for this good a view, we probably wouldn't have found it. It sort of found us.
So, Linda, one thing I want to make sure that we include because I'm a water person, I love water. You were talking about amenities. How close are we to the lake?
Oh, great question. So, of course, mentioned that a couple of the lots and maybe more have water views, right? But the water views are over in between these two, that kind of the saddle back between those two. We are only 1.9, because we measured it, 1.9 miles driving to the nearest boat ramp. Okay,
Oh,
so
wow.
we're really as the crow flies, the lake is just right there. It's very close, but I mean, you'd have to get on the back of the crow to get there that way, right? But the
So,
closest
two
boat ramp.
minutes to the boat ramp.
Right, exactly, exactly.
Wow,
So
that's great.
it is. It's so close, and how you just can't imagine the, and you're not paying waterfront prices, so you still have access to the lake that's close, and you can keep boats,
So,
behind your house here too. I mean, you can have as many boats as you want. They don't have to be in an enclosure.
they just
Um,
have to be behind the house, right?
Exactly. Yeah, just kind of like you can't park it right
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
You've got to have it just to keep the aesthetics of the neighborhood such. So you can have 5 boats back there if you want. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be taking advantage of that.
So one thing I had, we had a boat for about 3 summers when our kids were younger, and would bring them out. And it's really cool because this is a Corps of Engineers
Lake.
lake that's owned by the Corps of Engineers.
Aquamarine clear.
It's beautiful. It is the most cleanest, most delightful water I've ever been in. And what's cool is that the whole area around the lake, and maybe you know more about it than me, but there's no houses built right on the lake. They're kind of up above with lake view, and so it's very unique. There's no boat ramps or anything around the lake. So when you bring your boat in, there's little coves that you can kind of go and anchor in. They've got a little party cove. You know, Fourth of July. They have all kinds of neat events, but it's one of the most unique lakes that I've ever had my boat
Yeah,
on
well, and
before.
it's because it's limestone. You can see we're
Yeah.
sitting on limestone here, and limestone filters the water, so it's very clear. It's unlike most of the Texas lakes that tend to be more, muddyish. It's very, very clear. So that's where the aquamarine water comes from. It's just, and it's deep. Um, it's the Guadalupe River feeds it, and there's a lot of lake frontage because it's not just a big round lake. There's a lot of fingers and, like Merrily said, coves. And so it's one of the prettiest lakes I've ever seen. And I grew up in Hawaii. This water is lovely. Also good fishing because it's being fed by the Guadalupe River. There's a lot of really good bass
And they've
and
got a scuba
catfish.
diving club out here too
Uh-huh.
that's
Yeah.
going diving. I've been seeing their pictures online, which is so cool. I'm like,
Yep.
oh,
Yep.
love that. It's
Exactly.
beautiful, beautiful lake. So,
Yep. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that.
well, it's really exciting, and it's exciting to be a part of this. And of course, you know, you're a very close friend for 100 years, to for us to all kind of be involved and to see your vision, take off. I'm glad you brought my developer husband along, So, this is just really fun to see it. And I heard, or he has told me, that once he gets this going, gets the streets in, he's already looking for the next land to do this again, right?
I know it's so exciting. I mean, I can't be more grateful that he was willing to. I'm just so excited we could give buyers something they really want, and they've been asking for years and years and years, which is just so fun, and just have such variety in such a small place. I mean, we've got the views, we've got the more level properties, we've got ones that have more oak trees, and then some that have more cedar trees, because I just had somebody call today and they said, I said, are trees important to you? Because I've got my list of lots that have, like an antique oak or a stand of antique oaks. And no, I really think that I'm not, I don't need that. And I'm probably going to clear a lot of it because I just want to see the views. And you can do that. You can do whatever you want here, which is just, it's so refreshing.
And
And
we have early access right now. Yeah, the streets aren't in, but we wanted to do early access. Once we get the streets in, then we're talking about doing a big grand opening where we're going to invite
absolutely.
anybody out. But now's the time, really, to come out and look at it when it's still early access, right?
Well, and look, what time is it now? We're filming this. It's like 5 o'clock, the hottest part of the day. It's September in
Yeah.
South Texas, and we've been having 100-degree days. It is always cooler here because we're not surrounded by all of the concrete and, and it's pleasant.
It's lovely.
I
It's
mean, this
absolutely
is,
lovely. Let's go pick our lots. You want to go pick a lot?
let's,
We'll be neighbors,
that's right. That's
for when
right.
we retire
I
or
have I
sooner.
have my favorite, so
You do?
I
You do.
do.
You've
I
already
do.
scoped them out. Well,
I
you have
do.
you know backwards and frontwards of all these lots. So, well, this is great. I just admire what you're doing, and how you're helping people try to decide to do this. So, do you have any words of advice for other realtors out there who are maybe wanting to get into land development? If you can think of just um, I don't know, a couple tidbits just of advice on getting started. What's the best way to get started?
Well, I mean, there's so many things. If you're looking for a developer that wants to develop, a project, maybe not to this scale with 43, but a smaller scale, you have to go back to who your buyers are, right? Okay, what do they want? And again, Canyon Lake is a big lake, right? And there's a lot of space around it. But Randy and I both knew that the south part of the lake was the best. You're really closest to New Braunfels. You're only, really 30 minutes from San Antonio, really 20 minutes from the northern outskirts. You're 7 minutes to grocery stores. You can access the Guadalupe River easily from here where the tubing happens. So really picking that was very important. I mean, you can be on the northern side of the lake and you're closer to Austin and Dripping Springs, Wimberley, but there's less development there. It'll come, but it's just not there yet. So people can work in New Braunfels, live here, or San Antonio, live here and get to work in 20, 15 minutes, and yet they feel like they're in the middle. So that was really important to us because you don't always want people that just are retirees. There's a lot of people who want to do this and get a leg up on their retirement, or they want to raise their kids out in the country. You're really close to the schools here. You're not far at all. So you have all these recreation areas. And so that's important.
And you have it listed on the website too, the school districts, right?
Right, correct.
Great.
And they're fantastic. So that's important when you're considering purchasing. You don't want to, unless you're looking for something to be the first people to go out and develop. This proximity of being close to conveniences is very important. Plus, you want your developer ahead of it and know that they can access water lines and what that's going to look like, because the infrastructure is extremely expensive. you know and it takes a
Yeah.
long time. Fortunately, Randy had connections with Comal County, which helped him, but again, getting that leg up and knowing it and having
So
that.
we have water and we have electricity,
Mhm.
and you put in your own septic tank, right?
Yes, which is very common out here. So, and very common even in the one places with HOAs, they all have to have their own septic. So,
Wonderful.
yep. So you don't need a water well here. You've got co-op water, you've got electricity, and it's all sitting here. Like I said, just add house. Literally, that's all you need.
That's great. Well, thank you, Linda, for your brain and your knowledge and your personality
It's
and
so
your friendship and
this is
everything.
just so much fun. I'm so excited, and people just have to come. Don't just look at the pictures. We tried to do our best, but this place is something you have to experience in person, because you come here and it just has a feeling, and then the views, like I said, I mean, we were familiar with the property and we still came out and went, oh, wow. So you got to come and see it in person. Send your clients out. We'll meet your clients here. You don't even have to come. So if you have clients that this might suit, or you're an investor, if you're an investor, trust me, spending less than 200,000 on an acre in this kind of development, it's going to make you
And
money.
we have some builders that have been coming out and
Mhm.
looking too, right?
So they're going to probably build some spec homes out here.
Yeah,
Mhm.
some spec homes. So we have quite a few builders that have come out and are scoping out the lot. So
Right.
this is cool. This is wonderful.
All
Thanks
right.
so much. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so that you can hear more wonderful, fun, exciting podcasts that are coming to you from Linda and Merrily.
And we want to do more on location
And we
too.
do.
Yep.
This is so cool. That was her idea. She's got great ideas.
I like being outside.
I hooked myself up with somebody smart. So anyway, thanks everybody.
Thank you.